All right, hey, welcome back in this morning. What a week in presidential politics with nearly 20 Republicans now running for president. One candidate, Donald Trump, making the headlines with others weighing in on what he says. While polls giving Hillary Clinton camp a little concern this week. To talk presidential politics this morning, we welcome in Democratic strategist Richard Dickerson and former state Republican Chairman Marty. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see both of you. And we will let viewers know that as soon as that news conference starts, we will go back to Louisiana for details on the shooting there. All right, back here in the studio, we are talking politics. It's been a crazy week. And we were talking in the break, Richard, that Donald Trump really is sucking all the air out of the room.
This is correct. I think it's a challenge for the Republican Party. You've got one guy who's just sucking all the air out of the room, and it's making it more difficult for the candidates who've served, who have records to run on, to be heard. And I think you also are having Reagan's rule being violated now, because you're having Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, and others beginning to attack Donald Trump. And we don't know where this goes, but it's going to be interesting and fun to watch.
Marty, what's your take on it, watching this unfold?
Well, first of all, on the other side, it's also curious that the candidate that is showing the most momentum is an avowed socialist. Okay, that says something about the other side. But regarding Trump, I'm going to throw you off a little bit here. It's like an icebreaker that goes through, let's say the Antarctic. If you have to have a big tanker behind you. Trump is saying stuff that regular Americans believe. Perhaps he's not saying it the right way, but they're thinking that. And so they're finding some solace in that. He will not be the nominee, but he will create the ability for a, frankly, more articulate candidate to come down the road and express the same thing.
I have heard people say, I understand some of what he's saying. It's how he says it
that
rubs people the wrong way.
Well, I think the challenge is what you say, how you say it, and it resonates for the long haul. So it's all about numbers, as I've said many times, and the Republican Party has the challenge, how do they obtain more than 27% of the Hispanic vote? So do these comments made by Trump make it toxic for the Republican nominee in 16 to get beyond that? Mitt Romney got 59% of the white vote and still lost. If you project his numbers out to 16, he needs 65% of the white vote. That's a huge hurdle to overcome. So the nominee has to be able to talk to black and brown voters.
Let's move to the.
I don't disagree with that, but I would also say that looking at the numbers, Mitt Romney would have had to win 79% of the Hispanic vote to be president. Romney did not lose the presidency because of the Hispanic vote. He lost the presidency because of hardcore conservatives who did not vote. That's where it was lost.
All right, let's move to the Democratic side.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton, some of the polls coming out this week, one of them talking about, I think out of Colorado, one particular one, the majority of more than the majority of people saying they don't trust that candidate when asked that particular question.
I think that all of the polls now, quite frankly, Jens, we're still early. And I think Hillary's campaign has had a problem creating some level of enthusiasm. She has an enthusiasm gap and a trust gap, and so that problem exists both in Colorado, Iowa, and in Virginia. And I think that's a challenge, but I would caution all of us, it's still 16 months out. This is a marathon. There's going to be ups and downs with it. Hillary Clinton will be the nominee, and I think that she's going to be a very formidable nominee in 16.
Marty alluded to Bernie Sanders. I think that's who you were alluding to a minute ago.
Bernie, yes.
He is getting lots of attention.
Yeah, he is. And like
nobody even really knew who he was.
10 years ago, when I was party chairman here in Alabama on this very same platform, I would have never used the word socialist. Okay, because it would have sounded extreme.
Right.
Now it's a common word. And back to the Hispanic issue, it's kind of hard to say that we're soft on Hispanic voters when two of our candidates are of Hispanic descent.
The reality of it, again, it's numbers. You can have 5 of Hispanic descent. The challenge is, how do you get beyond 27% of the Hispanic vote in a presidential year? In a presidential year, you have a much larger turnout in minority communities, black communities, Hispanic communities. So that is the challenge going forward in 16. And I think with the comments that Donald Trump has made, they will resonate, and millions of dollars will be spent running ads that will cut and paste those comments to the Hispanic community.
I don't disagree with that. And all the nominee will have to say is, I'm not Donald Trump. End of story.
All right, that'll have to be the final word. We'll have you guys back in a week or so. I'm sure many things will happen that we will need to talk about.